Morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with T, and I'm T. Good morning. Oh my goodness, it's Monday morning. How's everybody doing? We got a lot going on due to the whole coronavirus, but we're here today because we don't want to talk about that. We just want to make sure that we are really just moving forward in our lives and learning about our Black men. So for the month of March, which is going to carry over into April and May, because I have 8 more men who are going to share their truth, we'll be talking about letting men share their truth. It's called Men Hurt Too Monday. So we have a lot of brothers who have come forward to say, I would love to share my truth. I would love to let women know, and not only women, but the world know that men are human beings first. So today I have a very special guest with me. I'm so very excited about this. Oh wait, first I have to sip my coffee, because you know that's what I come on here for, to make sure I have my coffee with y'all. Y'all are used to that. So I want to introduce you guys to my very special guest, Rodney Gray. Rodney E. Gray is an ordained minister, life leadership and relationship coach, and a speaker. After graduating from high school, Rodney joined the U.S. Navy and proudly served for 4 years. Rodney was also privileged to serve as a firefighter EMT with the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department for over 10 years. Currently, Rodney is teaching at in a campus pastor at the New City Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is his life's mission to help set people free from the bondage, holding them back from the quality of the life they were created to live. And I'm gonna add on to that because I know Rodney, when there's some stuff I want y'all to know about him. He's a pastor, a man of God, a husband, a sought-after motivational speaker, a successful business owner, and a leadership coach. Rodney is a John Maxwell Team certified member, so he has done the work. He has traveled the globe to share his message on leadership. And I'm just happy to have Rodney here. Hey Rodney, how are you?
What's up, sis? Man, this is a blessing, man. I've been chomping at the bit to get on with you, man. Been watching when I can, and it's been very insightful and very helpful to me, man. I'm just privileged to be at the table, T. Privileged to be at the table.
We've done some panels together, quite a few panels together, because I'm always, it's the funniest thing. I'm not invited to, I shouldn't say that, but I'm really not invited to a lot of lady panels because I talk about infidelity and adultery, and I hold women accountable, which a lot of women don't like that because they think I don't hold men accountable. It's not that I don't hold men accountable, it's that I receive that men are human beings first.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yo, these are my brothers, Rodney, Daryl. I'm gonna have Dr. Oliver on here soon.
Okay.
Do It All Dupree Kelly is coming up next week. David Bird. I have so many men that have stepped up to the plate to share their truth. So in sharing the truth, the first thing I want to know a little bit about your background, because I believe that each man has a blueprint. I believe each man has went through some trauma in their life, and a lot of times we don't address men or give men the grace of the things they've been through as human beings. So tell me a little bit about how you grew up. Was it a 2-parent home? What was your relationship like with your mother, your father, whatever you would like to share there?
Okay. Yeah. So grew up in a 2-parent home from Brooklyn, New York. Always been a city boy at heart. Grew up mother, father, my twin brother and myself, loving family. I think my father taught me, he taught me certain responsibilities, but didn't really teach me how to be a man, right? So I end up losing my mother at age 18. So I lose my mother at age 18, I'm in the military. And so after that, I sought relationships with women who would be like a mother figure to me. Found myself in a domestic violence relationship. And the funny thing is, T, is I was in this relationship for 5.5 years.
Wow.
With a woman who every time she got upset, got to a certain point, I mean, it was on and popping. Everything from choking me while I'm driving a car that we're both in to coming at me in front of my boys, everything. I mean, it was a wild situation. So I go from that to getting married, in a blended family relationship, sharp young lady, had 3 children when I met her. But at the time I still didn't know me. Still didn't.
Oh,
yeah.
I still didn't know me. You saying some key things here though, because you said your father didn't teach you how to be a man. You lost your mom, so you were seeking women to fill her void.
Yep.
And you still didn't know you. See, this is the stuff like I like to have these conversations so women know that there's a background, and this makes you human for the rest of the people who are listening, because there's things that happen in your background. And I say this to the men when I'm doing these interviews with you guys. If I knew this about you in the relationship that we're in, it would be a lot easier for me to understand why some of your movements are the way they are. But so many men are not sharing with their significant other, but they'll share with me because they say it's a safe space. It's not going to be any consequences to my actions. But this makes you human to know that you were in a domestic violence situation. So and we know you got married now. Well, they don't know, but I know. So in this relationship, now it's kind of easy for her to navigate through because you're sharing with her. Like, this is what I've been through. So that's a trigger for me. You know what I'm saying? So continue. This is
absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. So I didn't know me, right? So I go from being a single man, just me, to now I'm married with a blended family. And so it was, you know, for me, I felt like I was always playing catch up. Oh, because again, she was very sharp on her game. And so for me, I felt like I was always playing catch up. And what I didn't realize at the time was it was a reflection of how I saw myself. It had nothing to do with her, had nothing to do with the situation. It had everything to do with how I saw myself. And so because I didn't have very strong convictions about certain things, I was very loose with boundaries in a relationship. Now, mind you, T, I'm in ministry at this point. I'm starting to pastor a church at this point. Had somewhat of an idea of how I was gifted, but I was so busy trying to be all things to everybody that I neglected the most important person.
Wow.
And so what happened was I got burnt out. I got burnt out in the relationship because I couldn't keep up. I was in a good situation, but I couldn't be what she needed at the time. And I didn't realize that it was all because I lacked self-awareness. You know, who am I? Where am I going? What value do I have to bring to the table? And so coming out of that marriage, that led me to 18 months of self-discovery, reflection. And again, I say this, I foot stomp this point because it's a part of my story. I was in the church, I was pastoring, but I didn't know me. I didn't take the time to sit down and figure out who I was. And when I did, T, it changed my life.
Wow.
It changed my life. And I went from being passive and indecisive to almost cocky in a sense.
Whoa.
If I'm honest. But at the same time, I kind of adopted the mantra that as a man, because I had been passive and indecisive, as a man, I'd rather you tell me to fall back than to step up. Because I had been that dude before. I've been that dude.
Wait a minute, hold it. I'd rather you tell me to fall back than to step up. Did y'all hear that, men and women? Robin, thank you so much for saying that Facebook cutoff. Can you share this on Facebook? There's a share button on Periscope where they can come over to Periscope. So can you please share it on Netta? Thank you. So you said you would rather a woman tell you to fall back than step up. That's drop the mic right there. So on here today, I wanted to transition because the time is going to go so fast.
Yeah.
And our discussion today is on monogamy, myths about monogamy, and our Black men running from commitment and why. So I know you recently got married, and I'm so happy for you. Like, because we've known each other for a minute now. And when I saw you get married, I was kind of surprised. Yeah. Because, you know, I was like, Rodney got married, but it's okay.
I control the narrative on that thing.
Right. So I want you to explain, because I knew you as you used to do a lot of talks on single and celibate and how to contain yourself or how to compose yourself. It's okay to be single. It's okay to be celibate. And a lot of women want to know, when a man knows it's the one, he knows it's the one. Because a lot of women are like, oh, you know what? Some men just can't be monogamous. Right. Talk about how you first met your wife, and second, why was it important for you to make her your wife and to be in a one-on-one monogamous relationship?
Okay. So you might have to reel me in here. So I first met her in 2015. Just no relationship, anything like that. We started dating in 2016. Very short relationship. We dated for a month and a half. A month and a half. Now T, she broke up with me twice in a month and a half, twice. And so we were both at a certain space in life. I had a pretty good sense then that she could probably be the one, but it almost felt like the right thing at the wrong time. And so, so we ended up going our separate ways. I'm in another relationship, and this other relationship I was in, I had almost settled in. Like I felt like, okay, this is where I'm going. Now at the same time, you kind of know, right? You know. And so I wrestled with myself for like 8 months. And I ended up walking away from that relationship. Now it was tough, but I ended up walking away from that relationship. This circled back. And when it circled back, we were both in a space where we had done the self-care that we needed to do. And we were both in a space where we knew. And so for me, it was always about someone who I felt like added value to my life and complemented the calling on my life. And so in other words, when I look at where I am now, I see that this would not have fit with previous people that I've dated. Where I am now, just complementing gifts and different things that my wife brings to the table, it just wouldn't have fit with anybody else. And so for me, I remember having a very strong feeling of contentment. Like, you know what? Like, I'm good right here. Like I'm good in this space where I'm good. And so for me, it always became a thing of when we meet and we decide to get married, if nothing about you changes, if nothing ever changes, am I good right here? Is this enough for me? Now I will say this, I expect growth all day, every day. But if nothing about you changes, your size, your weight, your intellect, if nothing changes, can I live with this right here? And when I decided I'm good right here, it was a wrap for you, boy. It was a wrap.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
Matter of fact, today, a year ago today, I proposed to my wife. A year ago today. Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here with me.
A year ago today.
About monogamy. I'm just gonna get right into this because I know a lot of women want to hear some of this. So we talked about how you were raised a 2-parent home, the example that your dad was for you. And I always lay that foundation so that people can understand that each man that I'm talking to came from a different lens, and there was some trauma in his life, and there was some lack, and there was some things that they were not taught. So you had to go out and learn some things on your own. Do you think Black men have been taught that monogamy is not natural?
So yes, but I think on a more broader scale, I think Black men have been taught that commitment is not natural. So in other words, not just relegated to relationships, but commitment on a job, commitment to things you say you're gonna do. Because I'm huge on that. Like I had a guy ask me years ago. He said, "What would you rather?" Have a lot of money or have good credit? I said have good credit because your credit is your namesake. That's who you are. And so as a man, we take that for granted. Who you are is, do you do the things that you say you're gonna do? Do you honor your word? So I think, not to get long-winded, but I think as on a broader scale, I think we've been taught that commitment is not natural. Gone are the days of people who joined a company when they were 18 and now they're 45 and they're the VP of the company. Gone are those days. We're looking for the next hustle. How can we? And again, I'm not knocking the hustle because I have a very colorful background too. But commitment is something that we lack. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, yeah. I told you about to drop the mic like 52 times. Listen. This is another thing, and I've experienced this, and I don't want this to be my go-to point from an experience that I had with a couple of men. Do other Black men put peer pressure on faithful Black men to stray? Because I've been in a relationship with one of my, back in a couple years back, a long time ago. I don't want to put his name out there, but he had a cousin that was always pressuring him you don't do this and you don't do that, and they went out one night, and this is how a whole lot of stuff blew up. But do you think that cousins or friends put pressure on a Black man who's at home content with his wife, like you're content at home with your wife, to, oh, look at you, you don't even come out no more, and you, that, do they put pressure on Black men to not be faithful?
Yeah, I think so. I think society does. I remember coming out of a relationship when I had made the decision to be celibate. I never forget it. I'm a fireman, and I'm having a conversation with a couple of guys at the station, and they're teasing me.
Wow.
They're teasing me because I made this decision to be celibate, and they say, well, ain't no way you're gonna make it, and you're a man, and you need to satisfy that urge somehow. And if I'm honest, T, it was pressure. It was pressure. They said, well, if you're not having sex, then you must be masturbating, or you must be doing something to release yourself. What are you doing to release yourself? And so it was pressure on me to stay the course. It was certainly pressure. So yes, I think that men can put pressure on other men.
I just wanted to talk about that because men need to hear that, and I hear that too, like firefighters and police officers, they have a certain standard of you have to drink when you're on a job, and all this pressure. If you're not doing this, you're not one of the old boys, or what do you mean you're gonna be celibate? Or what do you mean you faithful? What's going on, man? All these chicks out here. And I want other men to hear from you that it's okay to be faithful. So what would you say to brothers who are under this pressure?
I would say, find out who you are first. Because for me, that's what helped me. What helped me sustain peer pressure was knowing who I am and knowing where I'm going. Like this is not, there's a goal to this. Like I'm not just out here willy-nilly trying to do something. I had a goal. And for me, it was, okay, I have experienced a certain degree of trauma in relationships. And for me, I wanted different than what I had. And so for me, taking the responsibility off of everybody else, right? I wanted different, so I decided that I had to be different. Wow. And so one of the things I hadn't done before was I said I've never been celibate. Let me honor God with my body, and ultimately my mind started to change, right? It's almost like you know how when you see people that are blind, right? Their hearing is like impeccable, because one sense is down. And so that's what started to happen to me. The minute I started to get my groove being celibate. Now, mind you, 5 years, T, 5 years I was celibate. And so once I started to get my groove, my self-awareness started to go through the roof. I started being more in tune with who I was and what I wanted. And the longer I went, the stronger I got at it. The longer I went, the stronger I got. And so I would say to any man that's dealing with that pressure, it's only going to tap you to the degree that you let it. And it's almost like I can't be tempted by smoking because there's nothing inside of me that desires that. You can only be tempted externally by something that's a struggle internally.
Wow.
You can only be tempted by that. So for me to silence the critics, I came to a point where I understood I'm never going to be able to silence everybody around me. So I had to silence the internal noise.
Wow.
I had to silence the internal noise. And once I did that, and again, I did that by immersing myself in personal development, surrounding myself with people who were smarter than me, sharper than me, that could help undergird this vision and this plan that I have for my own life. But it started with having the desire myself to want to go in a certain direction. So it was life-changing for me, T.
I love it.
Absolutely life-changing. Yep.
If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Coffee with T, and this is Men Hurt 2 Mondays, where we have conversations with men, and Rodney Gray is here sharing his truth from his perspective of how Black men deal with monogamy and commitment, and it has been eye-opening already. So if you just tuned in, please share on Facebook, and just share with the men in your life today, tonight. You know, we're on a quarantine, so we're at home right now. So turn this up loud in your living room, even if you don't want to listen, even the women in your life, because this is good information for everybody who's involved, so that we can understand where a man is coming from. This is not about dating. This is not about why men cheating on us and blah, blah. This is about what goes on internally inside of a man that makes him act out externally. So let's go on to the next question. Have men been burnt in relationships so bad that seeing multiple women is a defense mechanism?
I would say so. I would say so. Now again, I don't think that's necessarily the narrative for every man that sees multiple women, but certainly, because it becomes a point where I've been burnt so much. And I went through it coming out of that domestic violence relationship, where I was at a point where, okay, I don't want to commit to a certain degree because I don't want to get hurt. So it becomes a protective mechanism for a lot of men. So the way to keep from going too deep with one is to cement it. Now I can use all kind of excuses in the world as to why I don't have time for you, or I can't do this, that, and the third with you because, I'm moving, I'm shaking.
Right.
And I never forget, I used all kind of excuses, but didn't realize until several years, for me, I think it was almost 15 years after that domestic violence relationship that I realized, oh snap, my behavior is indicative of the fact that I'm protecting myself from being hurt. Yeah, so certainly.
I love that, because I want, this is the whole point of this, is to know, in my book, Men Hurt Too, that's why I'm doing this series. The first thing I say is that men are human beings.
Yeah.
We develop behaviors from traumatic experiences. We develop mask and defense mechanisms from traumatic experiences. And the thing about it is, men go through trauma too. And nobody realizes. They just think men out here blasting off and sleeping around and doing all this craziness. And all of this, a lot of this came to me because I have 3 sons. And I realized when my son was in high school, the girl he was with broke his heart. He really was, it was his first girl and all, you know how that is. And she didn't want to be with him no more. And I saw him going through a breakup with a woman, and I saw him crying and devastated. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, yo, men are human beings first. Like, he feel the same way I would feel when I broke up in a relationship. So it gave me a whole nother perspective on looking at my sons as human beings rather than males. Because when y'all first come out and they say, oh, it's a boy, you're immediately inundated with what you're supposed to do as a male and not as a human being. So let's go. Is cheating the blueprint that has been displayed in Black men's lives in their early childhood?
Yeah, I think because, and I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but you know what they say, like more is caught than is taught, right? And so we see these things from a very early age. I mean, I have memories of being a kid in Brooklyn, New York, and so my mother was the second oldest of 16. So my mother had 9 brothers, right, and 6 sisters, and so I grew up seeing, how, my uncles and other men and how they treated, not necessarily how they treated women, but the lack of commitment.
Right.
The lack of commitment. And so as a young boy, you grow up thinking, okay, this is kind of what it is. This is just, this is the way it is. And until
normal.
And yeah, it's normal. And this is, this is now, again, even though I grew up in a 2-parent home, and my father loved my mother, my father did spend some time, in the streets, you know what I mean? Like he did spend some time in the streets. And so, you get this attitude where, okay, this is all I've ever seen. This is all I've ever seen. Now, again, I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, we have to make our own choices. But if this is all you've been subjected to, then to a large degree, you become a product of your own environment until you get to a point where you understand where, okay, this is what I saw. It's almost the same, like you hear the saying, people say, perception is reality, right? Yes. But I say perception is reality, but it may not be truth, right? It may not be true. So you have to deal with the reality because it's reality, but then you have to deal with it from a standpoint of what is truth. And so the truth became for me that no, it's not really cool to be out here dealing with multiple women, because there's other things that come with that, right? You got to lie to cover up your tracks. You got to, you got to hide certain things. Whenever you at a chick house, you got to put your phone face down. And I just got to the point where, it's cool to be integral. It's cool to be straight up. about who you are and what your intentions are. And so I began to identify with a truth that was different from the reality that I had seen for so long.
If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Coffee with T, and this is our series Men Hurt Too on Mondays, and we're here with Pastor Rodney Gray, who is speaking his truth on monogamy, and we're just sharing to give people insight of what monogamy looks like, why Black men are running from commitment. And this is just Rodney's perspective from his experiences and from his teaching. So the next question I have for you, Rodney, because I'm trying to learn myself here, because like I said, I have my sons, and this is just not about me finding a man or being married, or this is about my sons, my uncles, my cousins, to get the healing that they need to understand that it's okay to be monogamous, and peer pressure is going to come, but it's about who you are, your character, your morals, your value, your integrity, and it's okay to step out on the side of the box and be a leader underneath peer pressure. So the next question is, do you believe that men know the difference between love and lust?
So I would say, I think I do. I think I do. And here's why I say that, because I think you can know something intellectually, or you can know it in theory, but acting it out is a totally different thing. So as a general answer, I think a lot of men know the difference. I think this is why you can have a man who sleeps around with several women and does this, that, and the third, and then meets a certain person, and then, oh, well, you just broke up with me 6 months ago, but now you married?
Right.
Because he knows it's just something triggers in him, and now he's actually acting out what he knows. Now, is there a segment of men that don't know? Absolutely. You know, I mean, I used to run with those guys, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I think by and large, men do know the difference between love and lust. And I think we see that when we see these men who are in relationships with women who have given them everything, you know,
right.
given them everything. And then they just, how can they just walk away? And then all of a sudden they're head over heels for this other woman. Now that's a whole nother conversation.
Talk about that.
Because I think you asked the question, or you mentioned men running from commitment, right? I think men run from what commitment represents. Because in a commitment, that means I got to be accountable to you. A lot of times we don't like to be accountable. If I'm gonna be in a relationship with you, a monogamous relationship, it means I got to be vulnerable with you. And I don't want to be, you know, like I mentioned my previous marriage, right? One of the things that I struggled with all the time was feeling like, okay, I felt like if I was in a different relationship, would I feel the way I'm feeling? And so it became an issue of, okay, I had this on top of it sharp woman, and it challenged it. I felt like it brought out all of the things I wasn't. It felt like, so I felt like it was a mirror of, now again, I'm not saying this is right, but this is how I felt. It was a mirror of everything I wasn't. And so, you know what? I'd rather not deal with this level of accountability on a regular basis, because it's challenging me as a man.
Right.
It's challenging me, and it's difficult. It's forcing me to grow up. And either I don't want to, or I'm not ready, or whatever the deal is. And so a lot of men shout, you know what, I'm good over here, because I don't want what this commitment represents. I don't want it. You know, so I'm a lot of times we run from the opportunity to grow up. That's what we're running from. We're running from the opportunity to kind of step up. Because I always tell guys, okay, even though the relationship may not have been the best, but this is a woman that wants to be with you. So let's identify why it is you don't want to be with her. Now, you say you love her, you've been in a relationship with her for X amount of years, so why is it? And once we peel back all the layers, we find out, okay, well, I'm scared. I don't know if I can be all that she wants. I don't know if she but a lot of times men don't understand, she's ready to help you. She's ready to help you. This is an opportunity. This is not opposition for you. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it's scary. I mean, growing up is scary. But if you got somebody that's willing to rock with you and ride with you through this, why wouldn't you take the chance? I tell people all the time, the love you're looking for is on the other side of your vulnerability. It's
Wow.
on the other side of it. You'll never get to what you want in terms of love without being vulnerable. So sorry, I know it was kind of all over the place.
No, that's good stuff, because we're trying to have healthy relationships with men. I'm not only talking about in intimate relationships. I'm talking about as a mother with my sons, trying to have a conversation with them, enforcing my values on them, or judging them from a place of, I just want you to do better.
Yeah.
But my boys are going to be flawed.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go through some growing pains. They're going to do some stuff they're not supposed to do, because I have, as a woman, and I've been given grace and mercy based on the fact that I'm a woman and I'm emotional, but men have emotions too.
Yes.
So that's why I'm glad that you're going to. Do you mind if we stay on a little bit longer? Because we are at our time at 9:32, but I have a couple more questions that I really want to get out. Here's another question about monogamy and why men are not monogamous, and why men run from commitment. Do men measure their worth based on how many women they've conquered?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a comedian that once said, the only thing better than booty is new booty, right? And so a lot of times as men, it becomes a quest, right, of how many men we can conquer. But I think, again, on a more broader scale, we see our worth in things that are external. You know, what do you do for a living? How much money do you make? What kind of car do you drive? Because again, it's unfortunate that multiple women in the male community a lot of times is a badge of honor.
Right.
It's a badge of honor if you deal with multiple women. And so, yeah, we do measure our worth by that. Because, it's almost seen as if, okay, a guy is the guy in the hood who has multiple women. He's, younger boys coming up aspire to be like him. They aspire to be like him because it's a badge of honor.
Right.
And far too many times this is what we find our worth and our value in. And so for me, in telling my story, the tide changed for me when I began to find my value in who I was as a man.
Right.
My thought process. Did I honor my word? What do the people around me have to say about me? And so I had some people that I trusted do character assessment letters on me. People I knew would tell me the truth, good, bad, ugly, and different.
Right.
What do you see when you look at me, when you think about me? What comes to mind? And so those kind of things, those are the things that I began to hang my worth on. And
wow.
so it was life changing for me, totally life changing. Totally life changing.
Listen, if you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Coffee with T. I'm T. I'm here talking to my boy, my friend, my leader. Like, I go to Rodney for advice. Like, a lot of times women, we don't have people to go to. But I have a crew of men behind me who have been supporting me for years since I met them. They are my brothers from another mother. And we are talking about monogamy, the myths about monogamy, and why Black men are running from commitment, or their perspective, or what they think about monogamy, and why this is happening in our community. Because the Black man, for me, like my shirt says, Black men are dope. The Black man for me it represents leadership for me. So we have to find out what is preventing our Black men from leading in every area, whether it be, the head of the household, being monogamous, teaching our boys that marriage is okay. So we're here today dealing with the feelings of Black men, and Rodney is sharing his truth on Men Hurt Too. So you said a man giving a woman a title makes him accountable. Yeah. I've never forgot that. I heard you say this years and years ago, and it's never left me. So I want you to talk a little bit more before we go on that.
Yeah, because, and this is why there was an author that called it "Define the Relationship." You have men and women that get together, and the woman is always like, well, what are we? What are we doing? And a lot of times we're afraid to define the relationship. We're afraid to say, okay, you're my girl, or we're going to get engaged. And we're afraid to do that because it holds us accountable. In other words, I'm accountable to you in a lot of respects to where I'm going, who I'm with. Well, you said you was going to shoot pool, and that was 6 hours ago, and so for a lot of us, we don't want that. We don't want to be accountable to where we're going, who we are, who we spend our time with. We don't want that level of accountability, and so to avoid that, I'll avoid getting into a committed relationship with you. And as long as we can keep you at bay, we give you, and here's what happens. We often give you just enough to keep you around. We often give you just enough to keep you where we want you. And I never forget it. Years ago, being in situations with different women where I would give you just enough, and then when I felt like I was getting ready to lose you, I wouldn't commit. I would spend more time with you. I would spend a little bit more time because I wanted to keep you where I wanted you. I didn't necessarily want to commit, but if I felt like I was getting ready to lose you, this is what I would do. And so the older I got in relationships, I began to value, if this is where I am, I just need to be straight up about this.
Right.
I just need to be, and then at that point you have a choice. You have a choice, but you still have a lot of situations where accountability forces us, and this is what I like to tell women. You deserve better, but do you demand it?
Oh.
Are you demanding the better you? So in other words, if you're with a guy and he won't, and y'all been kicking it for a while, and he won't turn the corner, he won't make you his girl, he won't. So then it becomes, yes, you deserve it, but now you have to demand it. If he's not giving you what you want, then you got to be willing to walk away from it. I mean, period. You got to be willing to walk away.
That's why this is my brother. That's why, listen, that's why I'm on point with where I am in my life right now. Mm-hmm. Because I have Black men behind me, you, Daryl, Oliver, Kevin Carr, who'll be on next week. Mm-hmm. I have Black men around me who have taught me, Trey, you deserve the best. And I say that at the end of all my broadcasts, because I've been around y'all for so long, and I've listened to you on panels next to me. I've listened to you say, you need, no, it's not him anymore, it's you, sis. Right. You told me, Rodney, like, mm-hmm. you're not demanding, so you stay in there, and he's gonna do whatever you allow him to do. Right. So segueing into this question is, are we women, Black women, and we're talking about Black people right now, because this is my platform, and I'm trying to get clarity in our community, so nobody don't be mad, but you can apply it to yours too. Right. Are Black women, I have a movement, #NoSideChicken, where I hold women accountable for their part in infidelity, where I hold them accountable for their part why a man can't be monogamous. Do you believe, as a pastor, in speaking to women and going all over the world, that we are our worst nightmare? We become options. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think yes. People don't, people will do to you what you allow them to do, right? And so if you become, a lot of women get to a point in a relationship where they become enablers, right? They enable this behavior that the man is giving you. And to a degree, I mean, we've all been there. We've all been in relationships where we've stayed far too long in a situation. We stayed far too long. And the longer you stay, the harder it is to get out of the situation. And so for a lot of women, yeah, you become a very vital part of the dysfunctional cycle that you find yourself in. And so the sad part is I've come across many women who always look to it's always the other person's fault. It's always the other person's fault. It's okay, hold on. Maybe part of the reason you're in this rut is because of choices that you keep making. You keep allowing this dude to do X, Y, Z. You keep taking him back after he's shown you time and time again that he doesn't deserve your time, your attention, your resources. And a lot of women find themselves in that place. And again, I don't mean to say that to be insensitive.
Right.
Because I believe that a lot of times there's a narrative to why we stay in relationships longer than we should. I mentioned that I was in a domestic violence relationship for 5.5 years, right? There was reasons for that. And so I think there are reasons too why women stay. And so what I like to do is if I'm dealing with a woman, I like to get to the bottom of why she came. Like, so the first question I ask women that I coach is I say, why are we here? Right? And so if they start off with, well, he did this and he did that, I hold on. What part have you played? And so that gives me an indication of the level of responsibility that this woman takes in where she finds herself. But I think by and large, there are some women that have nothing to do with the trauma that they've been put through. But the vast majority, that at least in my little corner of the world, the vast majority of women that I've come across have some part to play in it. But there's all kind of misconceptions when you talk about relationships. And what I always tell people is, let God write your love story, right? Let God write it. Like, it might look totally different from everybody else you know. Like you heard me say in the beginning, my current wife, she broke up with me twice. The first time in a month and a half. Now, best thing ever happened to me now. Best thing. But there are so many myths as it relates to monogamy and being in a relationship. And a big one is that when you are in a monogamous relationship, it's going to cure your appetite or your desire for other people. Now, this is what I always say, T, is that monogamy is an inside job. It's an inside job. My wife can only affirm convictions that I have. One of the things I tell all of the men that I work with is, single or married, like I decided before I got married, I decided that I was going to be faithful. 7 years before I met my wife, I decided I'm going to be a faithful man. I decided that I'm going to be integral. I decided that I was gonna be vulnerable in my relationship. I made those decisions long before I ever knew she existed. And so that's what's helping me to be, it helps that, I think she's the best thing since sliced bread. But at the same time, what happens if she's not that one day? Right? What happens if she's not that? I'm not driven by that. I'm driven by the convictions in my own heart. And that's what I teach guys all the time, man. Just be, figure out who you are and decide to be integral, faithful, honoring, vulnerable. Decide all those things before you get in a relationship. And everything you're looking for from her starts with you. Wow. Everything you're looking for. You're looking for vulnerability, lead with that. For faithfulness, lead with that. And so, so I can go on and on about that, but
listen, this has been so good. I just want women to understand that we have power to uplift or tear down.
Yep.
We have power to accept poor behavior or hold a man accountable, but we have to be willing to honor ourselves. Yep. Because it's not always the man. And this is another thing you said too. Women could cook, clean, do backflips in the bedroom, raise the kids, be a diva, have a business, and a man will still go out and cheat. Yep. A man will still go out and seek sex from another woman. Mm-hmm. Does that have anything to do with the woman?
No. Nope. That's all about his heart, his whatever lust or whatever is going on inside of him. And sadly, too many women take that personal. Too many women take it personal because he decided to step out, and that's why I'm big on, self-awareness and knowing your own value. And because to me, the more you know that, the less affected you are by the choices that other people make. Now, yes, we get into relationships and we love people, and certain people that we want to be with us don't want to be with us. But at the end of the day, that's okay, right? Because too many people lose themselves when a breakup happens. Too many people lose themselves when a breakup happens. And so for most people, when you find yourself in a space where somebody walks away, it's not personal. It's not personal. For whatever reason, they decided to make the choice that they made, but it's not now sometimes, can we do things better in a relationship? Sure, we can. You know, can we grow? Absolutely. But by and large, you know, infidelity is a choice, you know, independent of the relationship that somebody's in. It's a personal choice that individual made. And I know what that's, I've been on the side of that too. I've been on both sides of infidelity, right? I've been on both sides of it. And so for me, one of the most healing things for me was understanding that this was a choice that she made. This is a choice that she made. And once I began to disconnect myself, own my part, but disconnect myself from the choice that somebody else made, it was so liberating for me. So liberating for me.
Thank you so much, Rodney. I hate that we have to go, but thank you so much. What I want you to do now is I want you to let our listeners, if you just tuned in, you tuned in to hashtag Coffee with T, and I'm T. This is our series, Men Hurt Too, where I have men come on and share their truth. And today, Rodney Gray, Pastor Rodney Gray, is sharing his truth on what myths about monogamy and why black men are running from commitment. And he just dropped some really good nuggets. And if you can, I want you to share. So right now, I want you to share with us, Rodney, where can all of our listeners find you?
Sure, you can find me on Facebook at Rodney Gray. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at Rodney_Gray and the number 1. Rodney_Gray, the number 1. Gray is spelled Gray. You can feel free to email me at revrgray@yahoo.com. And then I have a website, which is www.rodneygray.net.
Yes, thank you so much. And before we leave, I want us to give a final thought. Yeah. And I want you what's your final thought?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, T, for this. Again, my sister from another mister, I'm so proud of you and all the work that you're doing to help people be better, men and women alike. And it's just such an honor to be on your platform. So my final thought is this: give every relationship the benefit of a better you. In other words, make your focus not who you get with, but who you become. Be more focused on what you bring to the relationship as opposed to who you get with in the relationship. And I think once we do that, we'll find that our relationships are much more valuable and healthy in the long run.
Wow. And my final thought is for everybody, when a person makes a decision for themselves, we're all doing the best, what we think is best for ourselves. When you have to step away from a relationship because it's not going in the direction that you desire, there's 2 individuals in a relationship. Each person is making a decision for themselves, what they think is best for themselves. It is not an ultimatum. Because I tell a person that my desire in my life as a woman is to get married, is to be somebody's wife. If it's not the other person's desire, there's nothing wrong with that. But I get to make the best decision for myself, and we all do. So you get to make the best decision for you, and I get to make the best decision for me. It is nobody's right or nobody's wrong, as long as we're being honest with ourselves and speaking our truths. So thank you guys for tuning into hashtag with Coffee with T, and that's me. Remember what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts: you deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace and blessings. And remember Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Coffee with T. Thank you so much, Rodney. I'll see you on the back end. I can't wait till we do a panel together. Please give your wife love, hugs, and kisses, and just tell her I said thank you for sharing you with the world. So peace. I'll see you soon.
All right, see you, T.